sector.
Hello, ma'am. Hello. Yes, Vinisha, ma'am.
Yes, hello ma'am. I am Vinisha.
Hello.
I am from Abohar Mother Teresa International School.
Hello, ma'am. Welcome to the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
And so, teachers, whoever has joined through a system, you can, be ready with your Python editor. You can log into your Techie account, open a code garage. We'll do the practice along with it. And other teachers, be ready with your pen and paper. You can note down the important things. You can make note during the session, which will help you a lot later on.
Hello, ma'am. This is Mrs. Biswas. I am joined from IPS, West Bengal.
Hello, ma'am. Welcome to the session.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon. All right, teachers, we have already waited for 5 minutes for everyone to join and settle. So let's get started with the session. Before we begin with the session, yes, sir. So before we begin with the session, let me share some ground rules with all of you teachers. Please, if whatever doubt and concern you have, you can put it in a chat box. If possible, keep your cameras on and microphone on mute. Whatever concerns, doubts, whatever queries you have, I will definitely take it up, but at the end of the session. I will give you ample time to answer all your queries. So let's get started. So teachers, today we are here for the Python training, the content training for Python. We will be covering all the basics. So let's get started. As I've already mentioned the rules, please keep your cameras on and microphone on mute. Whatever doubt and concern you have, you can put your doubts in the chat box and we'll definitely take it up. So let's get started. Let's understand the content that we will be covering in today's session. We'll understand all about programming. Then we'll understand what is Python. We'll cover basics of Python. We'll understand the project that can be created using Python. And then we will be doing hands-on practice through project 1, 2, and 3. So let's get started. Let me first introduce you to programming. Before that, teachers, I have an interesting question for you. On your screen, you can see a GIF. Observe it and tell me what are you able to see in this GIF. You can put your answer in the chat box. Come on, teachers. What can we see? Right. We can see that a phone is getting unlocked. We do this activity in a day several times. But have we ever wondered how this happened? Right? This all is happening because of programming. All the system that we use around us, like mobile phone, laptop, desktop, all the technical devices that we use, they all work with the help of programming. So let us understand what do we mean by programming. So programming is actually a way of communicating with computer. Let's understand it with the help of this video.
Programming? What's that?
Okay, what's your routine when you go to school?
Well, first, my alarm clock wakes me up. Then I get ready, eat my breakfast, walk to my school, study. After the classes, I go back home and crash out.
So basically, you follow some step-by-step instructions to go to school.
Yeah,
Likewise, programs are step-by-step instructions a computer follows to achieve its goals.
Like when you press the unlock button on your phone, it follows some set of instructions to unlock.
so programming is the reason. Huh.
So what we saw in the video, teachers, that programming is the reason because of which we are able to do tasks, because of which the systems are able to perform the task which we want them to do, right? Let's understand more about programming. So before that, I will ask you a question. We learned that programming is a way to communicate with the system. We can make programs in programming. But how do we create this program? How do we ask computer to make this program? Let's understand this also with the help of this video.
How do we ask the computers to make these programs?
By talking to them. Okay, in what language are we talking?
English?
Yo, like we have our own language, computers have their own.
Which they understand based on logic.
Logic?
Yep.
Computers understand just two numbers, 0 and 1.
We call them binary digits.
But how can I talk with just two numbers?
For now, understand it this way. Computers use a combination of zeros and ones to identify alphabets and numbers.
Like, it identifies the alphabet A as 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Do I need to learn them all?
No, Theo. Computers remember it for you.
Say, you want to talk to a Japanese who doesn't speak English.
I need a translator who can translate what I say into Japanese.
And translates back into English, correct?
Likewise, computers also have a translator to convert alphabets and numbers into zeros and ones.
And we call this translator as an interpreter.
So when I talk to a computer, I don't have to bother myself talking in zeros and ones.
Yep. For now, think of it this way. You just give your instructions in a language closer to English.
We call this language as a high-level language.
Which is translated into the language the computer understands.
So teachers, as we saw in the video, let's discuss its important point.
How do we ask the computer?
So what we learned from the video, we understood that computer communicates with the help of programming. In order to create these programs, which are nothing but a step-by-step instruction, we write down programs. And these programs are written using different languages, just like we use different languages to speak. But still, computer only understand binary language, which is the language of 0 and 1. Now, as a human being, it is difficult for us to communicate in binary language. We can write program in it, but it's very difficult. So that's why we use high-level languages to give instruction. There are many high-level languages which we can use to create programs. Some of the famous ones are C++, Java, C, JavaScript, and many more. Python is one of the best language that we can use. The reason is it's very easy and very simple. Let's understand more. So now that we know what do we mean by programming and Python is one of the programming language, let me introduce you to Python language. So Python is a high-level language. It is very similar to English as it uses English word. That is why it is very popular amongst young students, it is easy to learn, easy to understand, and easy to code as well. Now, as it is very easy to understand and code, many programmers use this language to communicate with computer. Python, although being very easy language, is a very powerful one also. We can do web development. So the famous websites like Netflix and YouTube are being developed using Python. We can build games. We can make apps like Spotify and Instagram. And we can also do scientific research using Python. Let's understand more about Python. But before that, I will introduce you to Code Playground. What is Code Playground? Code Playground is Tekie's inbuilt platform that we use to practice Python programs. It's a very simple yet very powerful editor that we have. Let's understand more about it. So on the left-hand side, we have code editor where we type the code. We have run button in the middle bottom to run the code. Right-hand side is there to see the output. Or if there is any error in the program, that will also appear on this side. At the right bottom, we have a clear button to clear the output screen. Then in the middle bottom, we have save button. And if you are conducting any session using Tekkie platform, classroom session, then the save button will not be there as the code will be saved automatically. Let's now understand more about Python. But before that, I have a question for you. Which of the following statement is correct? I am a teacher or I is a teacher. Which one is correct, teachers? Option 1 or option 2? Put your answer in chat box. Yes, teachers, please put your answer in chat box. Right. I am a teacher is a correct statement. Why? Because the second statement is incorrect as per the English grammatical rule. Now, teachers, just like we follow the grammar rules while speaking or writing any language, similarly, when we write something in Python language, we need to follow the rules. And we call these rules as syntax. So, rules that programmers follow while writing a program is called syntax. And just like we observe that when we do not follow a rule, we make mistake, a grammar mistake in English language. Similar to that, when we do not follow the syntax in Python, we make syntax error. Syntax error are the mistake such as spelling errors, punctuation error, or the rule that require us to write the Python language in correct way. If we do not follow, we will get an error which is known as syntax error. Let us move now to a new concept. So now we will be learning some basics of Python like print function, variables, input function, and data types. So let's get started. Let us now understand Python basics. Now, in order to write a program in Python, we will be learning these 4 basics: print function, input function, variables, and data types. Before that, I have a question for you. On your screen, you can see a GIF. What's happening over here, teachers? Right, it's a GIF of a printer where a paper is getting printed and we are getting output on the paper. Just like we get output on the paper using printer, in a similar way, if we want to see output on the print console of Python editor, we use print function. Let's understand more about it. So we use print function in Python that help us to see the output on the screen. The syntax of this function is we write down print all in small and then we use round bracket Inside that, we put the prompt. Prompt is the output that we want to see on the screen. And we put this prompt in either single or double quotes. Let's understand about print statement through a practical example. So here, teachers, let us write print statement and we'll use round bracket. Inside that, we'll put the message that we call it as prompt that we want to see on the output screen. For example, I want to write now. Let's click on the run button to see the output. So teachers, as we can see, whatever we wrote inside the double quotes is getting printed as it is on the output console. So in this way, we use print statement. We can also get the same output using single quotes. Let me delete the output. Let's click on the run button again. As you can see, we are still getting the output. So you can print the output using print statement. Put the message in either single or double quotes. Now here, teachers, I will show you one more thing. Just before the print statement, we discussed about syntax. So the syntax of print statement is to write print, round bracket, and then either single or double quotes. Now, what if we don't follow this syntax? Let's try this. I'll remove this bracket. In this way, I'm not following the syntax. Let us see whether we get the output or not. So let me click on the delete button and now let's click on the run. So as you can see, teachers, I'm getting an error message. It's mentioning that something is missing at this particular point. So as you can see, if we do not follow the syntax, we will get syntax error. So let's correct our program now. Now we are getting the correct output. So teachers, just now we learned how to use print function. So all the teachers who are joined through system and they do have Python editor with them can practice along with me. Let us now move to the next concept, and that is variables. So what do we mean by variables? Variables are the simple boxes, or we can say that are the simple boxes through which we can store data or information. Just like we use box in a real life to store something. So if we want to store something in computer memory, in Python editor memory, at that time we use variables. Variables comes from the word vary, which means it can change. Now, as we save something in a box, it is really important to label that box. Similarly, over here, we label the variables also. Like, for example, here we are creating a variable name, that's a label. Then using a equal to sign, we are storing a value Alice. So, name is the variable which holds the data Alice in it. Let's understand more about variable. Before that, let's watch a video. So this video will make us understand what exactly do we mean by variables.
Variables? What are they?
Boxes in a computer's memory.
Which holds information in the form of alphabets and numbers.
Computer has memory?
Of course, it's the place where it stores all the information.
Like our brain?
Kind of.
Okay, but how do we know which box in the memory contains what information?
That's simple. We'll give the boxes a name.
Yep, just like your parents gave you one. This is what we saw earlier, right?
Yeah?
Let's add your name too.
So to store this information about you in a program,
We create variables.
Which are nothing but boxes.
let's give each one of them a name.
Sure.
No, Give names that make sense.
Like Theo is your name, so its variable name should be
Name.
exactly.
Similarly, others would be species, planet, and galaxy.
So teachers, what we saw in the video, we saw that variables are boxes in which we can store data. And just like we all have a valid we all have a valid name, similarly, we give a valid variable name also. Let's understand about them. So now we will understand how to create a variable. In order to create the variable, we follow this syntax. We first give a variable name, then we use equal to sign, and then we write down the value. So here, name equal to Alice. Name is a valid variable name, equal to sign in between, and then a value. That is, we want to save inside the variable. Now, teachers, I have a question for you. Before that, let's practice variable creating. Now here, my question is, have you ever heard someone named as XYZ, ABC, PQR? No, we don't name each other like this, right? Just like we all have valid names and meaningful name, similarly to Python, in Python, we give valid variable names, and for that we follow some rules. Let's understand those rules. Rule number 1, a variable can start with alphabet, number, and a variable can have alphabet, number, and only one special symbol, that is underscore. Rule number 2, a variable must start with alphabet or underscore. It cannot start with number. A variable name is case sensitive. Rule number 3. Case sensitive means uppercase and lowercase. That means upper ABCD, capital ABCD, and small ABCD are treated differently. Rule number 4. A variable name cannot have space. So teachers, let's now go to the code playground and understand all these rules. Before that, we'll understand how to create a variable. So here, I'm going to create a variable name and let's give it a value as Alice. Now, as we know that in order to see the output on the screen, we need to use print statement. So we'll use print statement to see the value of the variable. So we'll write down the variable name. One thing to note over here, teachers, variable name do not need to be put in either single or double quotes. If we will put that in single or double quotes, it will be treated as a message to be printed. The value of the variable will not get printed. So we'll write the variable name without single or double quotes. So let's click on the run button to see. As you can see, the first print statement, welcome to Python programming. And then we are printing the value of the variable name. So we are getting Alice over here. I hope you all are clear how to create variable. Let's now understand the rules. For that, I'm deleting this line to understand more about it. And let's clear the output screen. As we discussed, there are 4 rules. Let's understand all the rules one by one. Rule number 1, we can use alphabets, numbers, and underscore. So alphabets, 1 we have already done, that is name. We can use number also, so name 1. We are getting correct output. We can use underscore also. Name underscore. We are again getting output, no error. Now, if we try to use something else except this, let's say @ we'll get an error because this symbol is not allowed. So let's recall, we can only use alphabets, numbers, and underscore sign. After that, rule number 2. We can use numbers, but we cannot start with number. We can only start either with alphabet or underscore. So as we just saw, name 1 is a valid variable name, but we cannot start with number. I'm clearing the output screen for better understanding. Let's see. We are again getting an error that shows we cannot start with a number. Rule number 3, it's a case sensitive variable name. So Python is actually a case sensitive language. Case sensitive means capital case, that means capital ABCD and small abcd are treated differently. So if we have created a variable name with small n, you can see small n, and if I'll try to print it with capital N. Now, for us, it's same, name and name. Nothing is different. But for Python or many of the programming languages, capital N and small n are different. So let's see whether we get the output. No. And what's the error? Name is not defined. The editor is saying, compiler is saying that name variable is not defined because for it, capital N and small n are different. Let's understand the 4th rule. We cannot give space in the variable name. So let's say I want to create a variable name as first name. Now, let's see whether we get output or not. No, we are getting error because space is not allowed in variable names. If we will remove the space, we will get the output. You can see now we are getting the output. Let me do it again for better understanding. In this way, we understood all the rules that need to be followed while creating variable. Let's now move on to next concept. So teachers, on your screen, you can see 2 variable name of the company, and then below one, name of the company in which we have used underscore. Which one is easier for you to read? Right, second one. In the second one, it is easy for us to understand where the first word is ending and where the second word is starting. So the readability of the variable name increases. So teachers, as we know that we cannot give space in the variable name, to increase the readability of the variable name, we follow some variable naming styles. Let's understand about it. So the first one is camel case. Camel case is a variable naming style in which the first letter of each word is capitalized, excluding the first word. Let's understand it with the help of example. The same one, name of the company. In this variable name, we are joining 4 words. Name of the company. Now, if we put all of them together, the readability of the word decreases a lot. So we follow camel case. In camel case, we will keep the first letter of each word capitalized except the first one. So the first word is name. So all the letters will be small. Now from the second word onwards, that is of the company, all the first letter O, T and C will be capital. In this way, we know where the new word is starting. So it increases the readability. Second one that we use is snake case. In snake case, all the letters will be there in lower case, but every word will be separated by an underscore. So this will create some space in between without having any space. So we can write it like this: name underscore of underscore the underscore company. So there is some space, but they are joined with a underscore, just like let it be a snake in between, right? So you can follow any of these naming style as per your convenience. Let's now move on to next concept, teachers. What did we ask computer to do from this function? We already learned this function, print function, right? What were we doing using this function? Right. We were asking computer to perform a task that is print. For that, we used print function. Now, teachers, what is this function? I'm using this term again and again, function. Let's understand. So functions, by functions, we means the organized block of reusable code which can be used whenever needed. For example, what if I'll tell you to sleep? I don't need to give instruction to you. You know what do we mean by sleep. For that, we have to lay down on a flat surface, close our eyes, and be relaxed, right? Our mind knows what has to be done when we say sleep. Similar to that, in programming languages, when we have a code which has to be executed again and again, we put that code under a block and we call it as a function. We name that block as a function. So whenever we want to perform that task, instead of writing that code again and again, we just use it as a function. So whenever we say print statement, we don't have to explain it to the Python compiler that it needs to be printed. It already knows. So for that, we created function. So let's recall. Functions are defined as organized block of reusable code which can be used whenever needed. Now, functions are of two types: user-defined function, built-in function. Let's understand about them. User-defined function, as the name says, are those functions which are defined by user. By user, we means us, the programmers which are using Python language. So when we have any particular block of code that we want to execute again and again, we can put it inside a function and use it. We will learn more details about functions later on. Now, let's move on to the next concept, and that is built-in function. Python provides us some built-in functions that are predefined that comes with Python, and we can directly use them to simplify our task, like input function, print function. Print function we have already learned, that is used to print output on the console. Right, teachers? So let us now understand about input. Before that, I have a question for you. Another GIF is there on your screen. Observe it and tell me what's happening. Right. There are some checkboxes in which we are getting some input. So we are collecting some input from the user. Now, how do we do the same task using Python? We do the same thing in Python using input function. Let's understand more about it. Input function is used to read input from the user. Like we use print statement to print the name. But what if I don't know the username? I want to ask user their name. At that time, we will use input function. We'll ask user to put their name, and then we can print welcome message for them, right? So let's understand more about it. Here, along with the input function, we write down prompt. Prompt is a message that is displayed on the screen. This message will tell user that what type of input is required from it, right? And one more thing, teachers, input function always return a string value. We'll understand what is string. String means characters. We'll understand more about it later on. Let us now understand about input function. So the syntax of input function is we write down input. Inside the round bracket, we write down the prompt message. Again, this prompt message has to be there in double or single quotes. So let's now practice this. One second, teachers. So here, Let me clear the screen first. And now we will use input function to take input from the user. So let's create variable name only. And here we will write input and then use round brackets. Inside that, we'll put the prompt message. Like here. Now this message will tell user that we want them to enter their name. Whatever input will be given by the user will be saved in the variable name. So we can see that using print function. So let's run it. I hope you all can see the dialog box coming up, teachers. Right? Yeah. So you can see the message over there. Enter your name. We'll put the name inside it. So let's add the name. Let's say I'll write below and click OK. So you can see the output is getting printed. Let's run it again to show you again. This time I'll add Alice. And you can see the value being printed. Now, not just name, we can take any input from the user. So let's say I want to take age. So let's clear the output screen and let's click on the run button. You can see enter your name, enter your age, and you can see the name and age of the user is getting printed. So whatever we received as an input is being printed. So now we know how to take input from the user. Let's now move on to the next concept. The next one is data types. What do we mean by data types, teacher? See, we took two input from the user. One is the name and other was the age, right? Now tell me, was the name and age of same types? Was these values were of same types? No, they were different. One was with character, other was with the number. So in Python, variables can hold different types of data. And that different types is actually known as data type. Let's understand more about it. Data type specifies the type of value a variable can contain. A variable can contain different type of data. For example, it can contain numbers, it can contain characters, it can contain special characters also, the value of true, the value false, or combined data. So let's understand about data types. Now, in Python, we have two types of data types. Immutable, that means a data which cannot be changed. Mutable, that can be changed. So let's understand about the mutable data types. As I said, mutable data types are the one that can be modified from their existing value. So there are different types of mutable data types like list, set, dictionaries. We will understand about mutable data types, but in later stage of our learning. Let us now discuss about immutable data types. Immutable data types are those whose values cannot be changed once they are created. Examples are number, string, tuple, or boolean. Now, in Python, as we discussed, there are different data types, but we will not be learning all of them at once. We'll start with some basics. So let us now understand some basic data type that we will be using in creating our projects. First one is number. A number is actually a data type which is having either positive or negative any number, but without decimal point. And we call it as integer also. The second one is float. The second one is float. By float, we mean a data type which can be created by using any number, whether positive or negative, but it has to have a decimal in it. Then we have string. Anything like characters, numbers, special character, or space that is enclosed in either single or double quotes. Then we have Boolean. A Boolean data type has only two values, true or false. So whenever we have some data that can be stored either in two things, whether yes or no or true or false, at that time we create it as a Boolean data type. So teachers, we learned about four data types: number, float, string, boolean. Numbers are the one which are numbers without decimal point. Float, numbers with decimal point. String, anything enclosed in single or double quotes. And boolean, either true or false value. Let's move ahead and understand how do we work with these data types. Now, working with data types, we'll understand what do we mean by dynamic typing and how do we use type function. Then we'll understand about typecasting also. So here, teachers, you can see a variable and the value of that variable is actually box. So can you tell me what type of data is this, the box one? Right, it's a string. How do we know that? We can see it's a character that are enclosed in single quotes. And just now we learned anything that is being saved in either single or double quotes, it's treated as string. So that means this variable is of string type. But how do Python understand about this? So just like we were able to tell the data type of the variable by looking at the value, in a similar way, Python can also detect the data type by looking at the value that is being stored in that variable. So whatever the first value that is being stored in any variable, that variable will be of the same data type. And this is known as dynamic typing. That means we do not have to declare the data type of variable. It gets allocated automatically by the first value. Let's understand about it. So here you can see three variables: name, winner, score. So in name, we are storing Bob. In winner, we are storing true value. In score, we are storing 35. Now, Python will determine the data type of all these variables based on their value. So name will be of string type, winner will be of Boolean type, and score will be of integer type. So this is known as dynamic typing. Let's now understand about type method. So teachers, we understood that data type of variable get assigned dynamically. But how do we check it? What if I want to check the data type of any variable? For that, we can use type function. Type function or type method, as we call it, help us to find the data type of the variable by looking at the value held by it. Let's understand more about it. So the syntax will be, we'll write down type and then the value or the variable name. It will return us the data type of that value. Let's understand it practically now. So here, we'll use this only. We have two variables, name, that is Alice, and then variable age, that is 10. Let's check the data type of name. For that, we can use type function. We'll write down type and name. It will tell us the data type of name variable. But as we know that if we want to see the output, we have to use print statement. So we'll use print statement along with it. So as you can see, I need to put name. Let me put the name. Now you can see this class str. str stands for string. It's telling that the type of data type of the variable name is string. Let's check it with some more examples. Let's say I created age, give it a value of 10. Now, if I want to check the data type of it, we'll write down type age. So you can see it's saying class int. It is of integer type. What if I store 10.5? You can see it changed automatically to float. So whatever value that we assign to the variable, with that, it determines the data type. This is known as dynamic typing. So teachers, now we are clear with it. What is dynamic typing and how do we check the data type of any variable? Let's move on to typecasting. So what do we mean by typecasting? See, marks, whenever we take from the input command, it always gets saved as a string. Reason being because the input method, as we discussed, always saves anything as string. But what if I want it to be treated as integer or float? What do we do at that time? What we'll do typecasting. We will change it. We will convert the string into integer or float. Let's understand how. So whenever we change the type of any variable, we call it as a typecasting. For example, you can see an orange. An orange is a fruit. The type of it, what state in it? It's in a solid state, right? Orange is a fruit. It's in a solid state. And if we put it in a juicer, we'll get a juice out of it. It will remain the same fruit, orange, but instead of a solid, it will be converted into liquid, right? Similarly to that, typecasting is changing the type of any variable. The value will remain same, but we will change the value of that, we will change the type of that value or variable. It is done with the help of different functions. For example, to convert any variable into integer, we have int. To convert any variable into float, we have float. To convert any variable into string, we have str. And to convert any variable into Boolean type, we have bool. So let's understand about all of these 4 methods with the help of an example. So teachers, let's take age as input from, okay, let's give a value age as 10. Now, age 10 is actually of integer type, right? Let's check it. Right? Let's run it. So you can see it's showing class int. What if I want to change it into float? We can do that using the float method. So here we'll write down age, float, age. Let's run it now. So you can see, I'll delete the output and run it again. Now you can see the data type of the variable age is changed into float. Earlier it was int. Then in line number 2, we are using float method, which is used to change any variable into float, and we have changed it into float. Clear? Let's understand with 1 or 2 more examples to have more clarity, right? Let's say we take age as input from the user only. And as we discussed, that input function always stores everything as string. Let's check whether it's true or not. See, I'll run it. I give the age as 10. Now, here you can see str because input function saves everything as a string. But age is a integer, is a number. We cannot work more with it using string, right? So what do we need to do? We need to convert it into integer or float. Usually we keep age as integer only. So let's convert it into integer. For that, we will write int over here. So let me explain what I did. I just converted the input that is being taken using input method into integer. So whatever age will be entered, it will first be saved as a string, then int method will convert it into integer. Let's check it. So now can you see class int? Right, teachers? I hope it's clear. Right? Let's understand with one last example, right? Let's say I want to take marks of the student. Now, marks are usually, saved in points also. Sometimes students score 10.5, 11.5, right? So, we always get input saved as a string. I'll show you again. See, let's run this. Enter marks. Let's say I enter 20.6. It's showing string again. But we cannot work further because marks has to be stored as float. So what do we do over here? We'll convert the input into float. How do we do that? We'll write down the float function. Let's check it now. So now you can see it is being converted into float. All right, teachers. I hope it's clear to everyone. Yes. See, Python is such an easy and a wonderful language, isn't it? So let's move on to next concept. This we have already done. So teachers, now I will be discussing the topics that we are covering in today's session grade-wise. So from Techie grade 6 books, we will be covering the first topics from the first 3 chapter, Introduction to Python, using operators in Python, and conditional statement in Python. From grade 7, we are covering the topics from first 2 chapters, Introduction to Python and control statement in Python. From grade 8, the first chapter, Introduction to Python. Let us now understand the project that we will be covering in today's session. We'll cover the project 1, that is area of square. This project is taken from grade 6 book. Project 2, simple calculator from grade 7. Project 3, reverse of a number from grade 8. So teachers, let's get started. Now, teachers, as we many times says that we in Techie follow project-based learning. What do we mean by project-based learning? Project-based learning means we'll look at a project and then we'll understand the concept required to create that project. Just now we discussed the project 1, which is there from grade 6. Let's now understand the concept required to create that project. To create the project 1, we'll understand about operators, math library, algorithm, and flowchart. Let's start. First one is operator. What do we mean by operator, teachers? Operator is actually a symbol which is used to perform operations on variables, right? And here, like 2 plus 2. The values or the variables are called as operand. So 2 and 2 over here are operand, whereas plus is operator. Clear? Like x plus y. So x and y are operand and plus is the operator. Now, there are different types of operators that we can use in Python. Arithmetic operator, which help us to perform arithmetic operations. Assignment operators, through which we assign values to the variable. Comparison operator, which is used to compare values. Logical operator, which is used to check between two conditions. Now, let's understand about all of these operators one by one. The first one is arithmetic operator. As the name says, arithmetic operator help us to perform basic mathematical calculation using numerical values. For example, we can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. For addition, we use plus sign. For multiplication, we use minus sign. For subtraction, we use minus sign. For multiplication, we use asterisk. And for division, we use slash. Apart from these basics one, we also use some advanced arithmetic operators. Those are modulus. Percentage sign that we call in normal language is being called as modulus in Python programming language. Then double slash is called as integer or floor division. Then double asterisk is called as exponent. All of these perform different operations. Let's understand about them. Modulus is used to get the remainder of two digits. For example, 5 divided by 4 will give us 1 as a remainder. So if we want to see only the remainder, then we can write as 5 modulus 4. We will get 1 remainder. Integer or floor division help us to get the quotient but without decimal. If we will use single slash, it will perform the division and give us the output with decimal. But double quotes, double slash, that means integer or floor division, will give us without any decimal. Then double asterisk will give us the power of the two values. 5 double asterisk 4 is same as 5 to the power of 4. So instead of 20, that is 5 into 4, we will get 625, which is 5 into 5 into 5 into 5. Let's understand about them through a practical example. So here, I will write print, let's say 20 plus 5. You can see we are getting 25. 20 minus 5. 15. Multiply 100, 20 times 5 and divide 4.0. So you can see, although the division is complete, we are still getting 4.0. So whenever you will divide using single slash, it will divide, but we will get the answer in float. What if we want to see only the integer part? Let's say I'm dividing 22 by 5. So I'm getting the answer as 4.4. I don't want decimal. We just want only the integer part. So at that time, we can use integer or floor division, which is double slash. So let's see. You're getting 4. I hope you're able to see the difference, teachers. Now, let's understand about modulus. So modulus will give us remainder. So if we divide 22 by 5, we all know that we will get 2 as a remainder. So what if I write this? You can see 2. So if we want to find the remainder of any division, then we can use modulus sign. Last one, double asterisk. Double asterisk is being used when we want to find power of. So 20, let's say 2 to the power of 5. So with that time, we'll use double asterisk. So it will not multiply 2 times 5, but it will multiply 2 5 times. 2 to the power of 5. And that is 32. I hope all the arithmetic operators are clear, teachers. Great. Let's move on to the next one. And that is assignment operator. Assignment operator is used to assign values to the variables. See, what do we mean by assignment operator over here, teachers? Till now, we use this sign, the equal to sign, as a comparison one. In maths, if we write as A equal to 5, that means we are comparing whether A is equal to 5 or not. But in programming languages, we use equal to sign as assignment operator. Here, if we write A equals to 5 or X equals to 5, that doesn't mean we are comparing X and 5. It actually means that we are assigning 5 value to the variable X. So whatever variable is there on the left-hand side and whatever value is there on the right-hand side, the value is being assigned to the variable. That is why we call it as an assignment operator. Do remember this difference, teachers, because this will help you a lot in creating programs. Let's understand more about this. There are other assignment operators also. So if we write plus equal to, that actually is same as x equal to x plus 10. Let's understand more about it. Let's say we have a variable x and I want to add 10 more to it. So instead of writing x equal to x plus 10, we can write down x plus equal to 10. Now, teachers, if you look at this statement and if you ask any maths teacher, then they will say that this statement is incorrect because x cannot be equal to x plus 10. It can either equal to 10 or x is equal to x only. How can x will be equal to x plus 10? Right? Here comes the difference. That is why equal to sign is assignment operator over here. We are not comparing, but we are assigning. So whatever value of x is there, let's say 1 was there. So 10 will be added to it. So 10 plus 1 will become 11 and that will get saved in x. Let's understand it with the help of example. So let's say I have a variable x and the value stored is 1. So x equals to 1 means one value is being assigned to x. Now, if I want to increase the value of x by 10, so I can write as x plus equal to 10. Now, I'll just print the value of the x over here. And then we'll print the value of x over here to see the difference. You can see earlier the value of x was 1. After line number 3, the value of x became 11. How? We use assignment operator. X equal to plus equal to 10. That means whatever value was saved in x, 10 will be added to it and it will saved back to x. I hope it's clear, teacher. In a similar way, we can use it with subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, integer division or flow division, and exponential calculation. All right, teachers. Let's move on to the next operator, and that is relational, or we also call it as comparison operator. As the name says, relational or comparison operators are used to compare two numbers or two variables. The first one is greater than, less than, greater than less than equal to, greater than equal to, and not equal to. One more thing, teachers. The return type of all of these relational or comparison operator is either true or false. So if the comparison that is being made, if it is valid, we will get true. If it is invalid, we will get false. Right? And now here you can see, teachers, to compare, we use double equal to. So now you understood. If we want to assign values, we use single equal to. But what if we want to compare? At that time, we use double equal to. Clear? Let's understand this also with practical example. So let's say I have 5 greater than 9. Now, this is invalid. So we will get false. 5 less than 9. True. 5 equal to 9. False. Right? Let me delete it. False. Similarly, greater than equal to 9. False. Less than equal to 9. True. And not equal to? Okay, by mistake. True, because 5 is not equal to 9. In this way, we can use all of these relational or comparison operators. Let's understand more about it. That we have already understood, teachers. Now, just like to compare numbers, we use comparison operator. What if we want to compare two statements? What if we want to make decision depending upon that comparison? At that time, we use logical operators. Logical operators combines two comparison statements, and depending upon the output, whether we get true or false, it gives us the logical answer. There are 3 logical operators that we use: and, or, and not. Let's understand more about them. Okay. Now here we have 2 statements. Let's understand about them. Amit loves to eat ice creams and chocolates. And the second statement is Amit eats either ice creams or chocolates. So what do we understand from these statements? The first statement says for Amit, he loves both of them. So and means both the conditions are true. And the second statement, Amit either eat ice cream or chocolate, that means he is okay with anything. So or means any one condition is true. So similarly, we have and operator, which is a logical operator. Now this operator gives us true when both the condition, that means both the comparisons are valid. So if we have 2 conditions and we use and in between, then we will get true only when both the comparisons are valid, when both the conditions are true. So true and true will gives us true. True and false will gives us false, because second condition is false. And if first condition is false, then also we will get false. And what if both are false? Then definitely we will get false, right? So the syntax is, we write statement 1 and we write and, A-N-D, and in it, and then the second statement. Like over here, 3 less than 7, correct. 8 is equal to 9, no. So we will get false. Or operators. Or operators returns true if even a single condition is true. So if both the conditions are true, then definitely it will give us true. But if any of the condition is false, let's say condition 2 is false, then we'll get true. 1 is false, then also we will get true. We will only get false in it when both the conditions are false. So the syntax is, we write down statement 1 or operator, and then we write down statement 2. So if any one condition is true, the answer will be true. Next, we have not operator. Not operator is also called as negation. Negation means reversing the result. So if we are getting true, it will make it false. If we are getting false, it will make it true. So let's understand about all these operators practically as well. So let's say we have first condition 3 greater than 7 and 8 equal to 9. So let's run it. Now you can see both the conditions were false, so we are getting false. Let's make one of them true. Still we are getting false. Let's make both of them true. Now we are getting true. So as we saw for AND operator, both the conditions will be true. Only then we will get true as an answer. Let's try with OR. Now, as both the conditions are true, we will get true. But what if any of the condition is false? We are still getting true. So for OR operator, any one condition can be true. And NOT operator, 8 equals to 9 is actually false, right? But what if we write NOT over here? So it will give us true. 8 equals to 9. When we are comparing 8 and 9, it's false. But NOT operator will reverse the result. So it will make it true. So let's understand now new concept. So teachers, now we will be understanding more about operators. And that is, what if we have two operators, two logical operators in a single statement? At that time, as you can see over here, we have AND and OR together in the same code. So what do? At that time, we will evaluate the operator depending upon their precedence. Let's understand. Precedence means when you have same type of operator in one statement, we solve it using precedence. That means from left to right. And is actually preceded more over OR. So AND has got more priority than OR. So AND will be solved more. Let's understand. So as we can see here, we have OR and AND together. So first, these two statements will be solved where AND is being used. So 3 equals to 3 is true. 1 greater than 0 is true. So true and true will return us true. Then we will compare it using OR. Now the OR operator will be evaluated. So false, the first statement is false. So false and true will give us true. So when we have multiple AND and OR condition statements, AND has precedence over the OR. Let's now understand more about order of precedence. What if multiple arithmetic operators are being used in this single statement? As you can see over here, we have plus, division, minus, multiply. Then at that time, what do? At that time, we evaluate it using a rule which is known as PEMDAS. So teachers, I hope you all have read about BODMAS rule in our school time, right? We used to follow the BODMAS rule when we have multiple operator in single statement. Similarly to that, here in programming languages, we have PEMDAS. We follow this rules when we have multiple operators in a single statement. Let's understand about it. In PEMDAS rule, P stands for parenthesis, E stands for exponents, M stands for multiplication, D for division, A for addition, and S for subtraction. Now here, as the letters appear, the precedence is according to it. So we first solve parenthesis. After that, we solve exponents. Then multiplication and division are given same priority. and addition and subtraction are also given same priority. Then how do we solve it? So if in a single statement we have multiplication and division, then whatever comes first from left to right, that will be evaluated on priority. Similarly, if we have addition and subtraction in a single statement, at that time, whatever comes first from left to right will be evaluated. Let's understand this rule with the help of an example. So let's understand PEMDAS first. So let's say I have 100 plus 200 divided by 10 minus 3 into 10. So here you can see we have plus, we have division, we have minus, we have multiplication. So as per the rule, there is no inner parenthesis, so that is skipped. No exponents, so that is skipped. Now come multiplication and division. So in multiplication and division, which is coming first from left to right? From left to right, we have 200 divided by 10. That will give us 20. Then we will solve for multiplication. 3 into 10, that is 30. Now we are left with 100 plus 20 minus 30. Then I'll just write it over here to give you understanding. 100 plus 20 minus 30. So we solve division, we solve multiplication. Multiplication and division are solved depending upon their appearance. If they appear from left to right. Now we can see we have plus and minus together. So as plus and minus are there together, they will be solved again from left to right. So plus is coming first, so it will be 120. Then minus 30, that will be 90. So let's check, do we get 90 or not? So you can see we are getting 90. In this way, PEMDAS rule is being followed in Python program. Now, let us understand more concept. So teachers, what if we want to find 2 to the power of 2? How do we do that? Yes, we can, use that exponents 1, 2 double asterisk 2. We can do that. Now, what if I ask you to solve this using Python? Can we do it easily? We can do it, but it will be difficult for us to do this calculation, to create the program. Now, just like we use some formulas or some predefined, functions to solve the things quickly, similarly, in Python, to do difficult calculation easily, we have math library. So we can use math library in Python. Let's understand more about it. Let's understand more about Python library. So Python has a built-in math library that we can use for mathematical calculations. This library helps us to do difficult calculation in a more easier way. It has got a set of functions through which we can do calculation easily. Let's understand some built-in function of math library. The first one is max. Then we have min function, power function, absolute function, and square root. Let's understand about each one of them in detail. Max function help us to find the maximum of all the numbers which are being provided. Minimum function help us to find the minimum of all the numbers given. Power function, in short, we write down POW, help us to find the power raised to the power of any number. Absolute, in short, we write down ABS. It helps us to find the absolute value of any variable. And if we want to find the square root, we write down SQRT. So as discussed, let's see it with the help of example. Minimum and maximum function. As you can see over here, we are giving 3 input, 10, 20 and 30. So max will find out the maximum value, that is 30, and it will be stored in X. Min will find out the minimum, that is 10. It will be stored in Y. And as we can see over here in output, we are getting maximum and minimum value. Then absolute function returns the positive value of the given number. So if we give a negative number, it will only return the absolute value, that is the positive value. Power function, POW, returns the value x raised to the power y. So if we write two number, let's say 2, 3. So it will return us 2 to the power of 3. The first number will be the base number. The second number will be the power. Now, let's understand about square root function. Square root function help us to find out the square root of a given number. One thing to note over here, teachers, in order to use square root function, we need to import math library. What do we mean by import? Import math library means it will get the code of the math library from the of the square function from the math library. For that, we need to write down import math. Just like, let's say, I want to find the meaning of a word from a particular book. For that, I will get that book. I will refer to that book to find the meaning. Similarly to that, to find the meaning of square root function, we need to import math library. Let's understand all of these functions through practical example. Let's first understand max function. So I'm directly using print. Inside that, max, and then we'll put numbers. Let's delete this and let's run it. You can see 87. 87 is maximum value among the given ones. Let's use min. We are getting 20, which is the minimum value amongst the given one. Let's understand power. So let's write down 5 to the power of 3. So you can see we are getting 125, which is 5 into 5 into 5. Let's understand absolute. So I've given a negative value. It will give us only the absolute. That means the positive value. Let's now use square root. But before that, we will import math. So we'll write down import math. Now, let's say I want to find the square root of 125. The same number for which we find out the square. Okay, 125 no, we cannot use. We'll use 625. Okay. We'll use a variable x, let's say, is equal to let me reload it and check the pictures. Okay, now let's try this. All right, teachers, we'll see why we are not getting this output. So teachers, now we'll move on to the first project that we are doing from grade 6. This particular project will help us to find out the area of a square, and we have taken this project from grade 6. Let's understand the concept that we will be requiring to create this project. And you can find this particular project in the computer science book of Techie at the page number 17. This project, in this project, we will write a Python program to calculate the area of a square by taking the side of the square as input. So let's understand more about this project. So teachers, before we do the project, I'll ask you a question. Can you arrange all the steps given on your screen to calculate the area of a square which is having side as 5? Can you arrange these steps in a correct order? Let's do it. So the answer will be, we'll first start, then we will take the input, that is side is equal to 5. We'll do step number this. After that, we'll do the calculation area, that is 5 into 5. Then we will display the result, step number D. And at the end, we'll stop it by writing the step number B. So, just like we followed a sequence to perform an operation, similarly, whenever we give a task to a computer, we write down an algorithm. The steps that we give to the computer to perform a task is known as algorithm. So let's understand about algorithm. Algorithm is a correct way of writing the sequence of instruction through which we can get the correct output. So in order to get the correct output, we follow a sequence of instruction that is known as algorithm. So just now, as we saw, to find out the square of a number, we follow these steps. We'll first start, then we'll read the side of the square, then we calculate the area by side into side, and then we'll display the result, and then we will end it. So this is known as algorithm. Now, if we put all of these steps graphically in a chart, we call it as a flow chart. So flow chart is a graphical representation of algorithm. Now, while creating a flow chart, we use some symbols. But before learning about them, let's understand more about flowchart. Flowchart help us to create the lengthy programs in a more simple and in a more easy manner. So this makes programming very easy. So flowchart help us to understand the sequence and the workflow of a program. Now, let's understand the components of flowchart. We use oval symbol to represent the start or end point. We use arrow, which will act as a connector or which will show us the flow. Then we use diamond shape, which indicates decision, that whether we are looking for a decision. Rectangle is used to represent a process, and parallelogram is used to represent input or output. So now let's create our first project where we will calculate the area of square by taking the side of a square as input. So let's start with it. We'll first use print statement. Then we will use another print statement to display the output in a more organized manner. I'm using a blank print so that it will create some space in between. Then we'll create a variable side length. And as we want to take this as an input from the user, we will be using input function. Right? Now, as we already know that input functions takes all the input in form of string. It forms as a string. In order to perform calculation, we need to convert this variable side length either into integer or in float. And as we know that side of a square can be in points also. So let's convert it into float. Like this. So this will convert the input into float. Now we'll create a variable area. And here we will do the calculation. As we know that the area of a square is actually side square, S square. So here we will use power function of math library, POW. The first one is the base one. So I'll write down side length. The other one is the power. So power to the 2. Now we will print the output. The area of the square is, we'll write down the variable area over here. In this way, we have created a program which will take a side of a square as an input from user. Then it will calculate the area and then it will display the result. So let's check it. Let's input the side of the square. Let's say it is 20. So you can see the area of the square is 400, that is 20 into 20. In this way, we have completed our project 1. Let us now move to the project 2. So we have created the project 1, that is in which we are going to calculate the area of a square. Now teachers, will move on to the project 2. For that, we will be learning about conditional statements. Let's understand about the project 2 first. This is the project 2 in which we will be using the concept from grade 7. You can find this project in the computer science book of grade 7 at page number 40. So this particular project is actually a Python program, which is a simple calculator. In this, we will be understanding how to use conditional statements. Now, teachers, let's have a look at this project. In this project, we are taking 2 input from the user as a number. That means num1 and num2. That we already know how to take. Then we are taking operator also as an input from the user. That also we have learned how to do it. Now, in order to perform calculation, depending upon the input given by user, we'll use if-else statement. These are conditional statements like this one. So we have already learned how to take input, how to create variable, how to do type conversion, and how to create work with operators also, work with print statement also. But we are still not done how to use conditional statement. We do not know right now what are conditional statement. In order to create project 2, we need to learn what are conditional statement. So let's understand. So conditional statements are actually of control type. Now, what are control statements? Control statements are those statements which help us to control the flow of execution in a program. So there are three types of control statement: conditional statements, loops, and jump statements. We will first understand about conditional statements. So let's get started. So teachers, I have a very simple question to all of you. What will you do when you feel hungry? Obviously, we'll eat food, right? As a human being, we can make our own decision. Nobody needs to tell us that, you are hungry, you need to have food, or you're thirsty, you need to drink water. But tell me one thing, do our programs are that smart enough that can make decision on their own? No. But we can make our programs that smart so that they can make their decision on their own depending upon the condition. And that is done using conditional statement. So in Python, decision making is done using conditional statements. Let's understand. Conditional statements are those statements which help us to implement decision making. And this is done in Python using if-else block. If-else block help us to do the decision making. We write down if, then we put the condition, and after that we write down the statements that will be executed if the condition is true. And then we write down else. With else, we write down that block of code which will execute when the condition becomes false. So in this way, we make our program we make our program smart to make decision on its own depending upon the condition. Let's understand about if-else block, right? Let's make this project. So now let's create a variable num1. We'll create num2, and I'm converting the input into integer. We will also create a variable, let's say op, or we can make it as, let's say op only. And here we will ask user what kind of operator they want, what kind of operation they want to perform. So we'll write down plus, minus, division, or let's say multiply. Right. And let's close this bracket also. Now, depending upon the input given by the user, will perform operation. So let's do how we do that. That if operator that is entered equals to, so here we are using comparison operator. If it equals to plus, then it will print, let's say, result. Variable equals to num1 plus num2. Else, it will print result equal to invalid operator. right? Let's run it and check it. So ask us to enter first number. I said 20. Second number, let's say 40. And then a valid operator. I write down plus. So you can see we will be, okay, I forgot to print the result. Let's print it also. That we will do after the print statement. 20, 40, operator plus, and we can see the output that is 40, right? Oh, sorry, my bad. Let's run it again. 40 plus. Now we are getting 60, that is plus. Now you can see the moment I type plus, only then the calculation happened and we are able to see the result. What if we type any other operator? Let's check for that also. Let's say I entered minus. Now we are getting invalid operator. Reason for that, we didn't write it out anything. We only created if statement where if the operator is plus, at that time it will match it and it will give us the result. In this way, we use if statement when we want the program to make a decision, and depending upon the decision, it will execute the statement. Now, teachers, you will also notice one more thing, that line number 5 and line number 7 are bit separated from the flow of all the statements. Can you see the space in between, which is there between 4 and 5 and 6 and 7? Yes, we call this space as indentation. Indentation help us to separate the block of code. This particular statement, line number 5, will only execute when the condition if is true. So that is why we need to separate it from the block of code. And that's why we have given it a space. And this space is known as indentation. Similarly, the line number 7 will execute only when the condition of if will become false. And that is why we have given a space. And this space is known as indentation. I hope you all are clear with if else now. Let's recall our learning. So teachers, we just learned about indentation. Indentation refers to the space which we give at the beginning of the code. These spaces are called indentation and it helps us to separate the block of code. Let us now understand more about if-else statement. So teachers, when we go to, what will we do when we have more than one condition? The program which I just executed, you noticed, we only created the code for plus. What if I want to give for minus, division, multiply, all of them? What do we do at that time? At that time, we'll use another conditional statements, and that are else if. Combination of else if, that is elif. Elif is a block which helps us to test multiple conditions sequentially after an initial if statement. In this, if the first condition is true, the statement is executed after if. And if the condition becomes false, it will check for another condition, which will be with elif. And this way, we can put as many conditions as we want. So let's understand this also. So here, we will understand it with the help of our project only. We will be creating code for all the operations. So here, let's write down another condition with the help of elif. Here, result will be num1 minus num2. Right? Now we'll put another condition. What if it is division? Then num1 divided num2. What if for another condition? If it is multiply, then num1 into num2. In this way, depending upon the operator received, it will perform the calculation and we will be able to see the result. Let's check for the indentation. You can check the indentation using this arrow. Okay. Let's set the indentation for this also. Let's check for this also. Yeah. Yes. Now we will execute to see the output. Okay, let's check this. By mistake, this is there. Let me put column over here. Let me put column over here also. And with the else, we'll write down the last statement that needs to be executed. In this here. Let's correct the indentation error, teachers. We'll write down result equals to num1 minus num2. Then we'll write down another condition of is equal to. We'll compare whether it is division. We'll divide. And then we'll write down result is equal to num1 divided num2. And then we'll put up another condition, elif if operator equals to multiply. At that time, let's put a column over here. And then we will write down result equals to num1 into num2. And lastly, we'll put up the else. Then it will show invalid operator. And now we'll put the print statement to see the output. Like, let's click on run button to see. It's asking us to put the first number, let's say 20. Second number, let's say 10. And let's click on OK. This time I'm going to put minus. You can see the answer as 10. Let's run it again to see more. I'll say 28. Another number, 45. And this time let's do multiplication. And you can see the output. In this way, we created a simple calculator using conditional statements in Python. So teachers, with this, we are able to do the project 2 as well. Now, if you have any query, any doubt related to the questions, you can always ask me now. Due to the time crunch, we are not able to do the project 3. We will be doing project 3 in another session of Python, where we will be covering the remaining concept of Python. So teachers, any doubt or any query, please feel free to ask now. You can unmute and ask your queries. Any queries, teachers? Any doubt, any query? Also, if there is no query, teachers, please share your feedback. I hope this session was fruitful enough. You were able to understand the concept that was being delivered.
Hello.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
evening, ma'am. This is Bimla.
Hello, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have one query. I want to know that why we use Python, because we have C++, Java, etc. Then why we use Python? Please tell me.
Okay, ma'am. See, we have C, C++, and Java. But if you look at all these languages, in order to even simply start with the print statement, we first need to teach the basics of programming, the other basic like OOPS concept to the student. Let's talk about, let's say, Java only. We first need to teach students how to create class. So before that, we need to teach them what is class. Now, all these concepts are quite difficult for a grade 6, 7 students. Apart from that, all these languages like C, C++, and Java, they uses the terms that are not familiar with the student, like class. So if I'll ask, let me take simple example. If you ask any 6th standard student, what is class? They will say their class, their grade, right? They will not understand that it's a OOPS concept. And we cannot expect them to understand these concepts at grade 6 level. So that is why programmers comes up with a language that is Python, which is very similar to English. Here, print statement means print only, and that is understandable by the student. That print means something to print. Input means to take something as input. And we don't need to write the prerequisite codes which are there in C and C++ or in Java. Right? If I'll tell you my example, I started as my programming language with C++. So that language was difficult for me even in 11th and 12th grade. So we cannot expect 6th grade students to understand this. Right, teachers? I hope you all agree. Any other queries, teachers? Okay, one question was there, why we need to import a square math library for square root function. not for max and min. See, some built-in functions come with the prerequisites. For the max and min, the code is already there in Python editor. That is why we do not need to import. But for square root function, we need to import it. Any other question, teachers? Okay, one of the teacher answered that nowadays we are using AI and ML, and that is being possible using Python. That's correct, ma'am. Artificial intelligence and ML cannot be implemented with the languages like C, but it can be done somewhere with C++ and Java. But still, my answer to the teacher's question will be the same, because Python is very easy to start with, easy to understand. That is why we are teaching them to the students. Any other query, teachers? Any other doubt? Teachers, feel free to share your views, any queries, any doubts. If you want any of the concept to be explained again, any of the thing you want to see. All clear? All right. Any feedback for the session, teachers? All right, teachers. Thank you so much for joining in. If there are no queries, no doubts, we can end up the session. And we will be soon, very soon, we will be having another webinar. All the information will be provided to you. Feel free to join and get yourself registered for those webinars and take benefit of it. Thank you so much, teachers. Thank you for joining in.
Thanks, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.